Welcome to This Week in Westerly with your hosts, Ben Barber and Michael Niemeyer. Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Westerly. Mike, I've never told you this because we've never had an opening video before, but I need you to not unmute yourself during the video. Yeah,
I can do that. Okay.
It'll automatically watch. I'll give you a little glimpse of it. Ready?
Sure.
Okay. Watch your end of nobody else is going to see this, but watch your end of the back. You're going to be muted automatically. Welcome to This Week in Westerly with your hosts, Ben. And as soon as it's off, you're not muted anymore. So don't touch it because then it'll mess with the sound.
Okie doke.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to This Week in Westerly. We have a new look. The background we got halfway through last week's show. We got a little logo up in the corner now and a pretty simple opening video. You can keep your mic on. It doesn't matter right now. So welcome. I'm excited to be doing this. Mike, I haven't really talked to you much this week. How you doing?
Well, it was a bit of a rough week, actually. I believe you and I had kind of a tale of two vaccine responses.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the vaccine early in the week, and a couple of days later was both my wife and I were just down. We could barely get our heads up. All of our lymph nodes were swollen. We felt very sick. We're fine now. But
good.
And so glad to have had our second vaccines so that in a couple of weeks we can start really getting back out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. and I was I have no, knock on wood, I was fine. So that was good. But I'm glad that you're feeling better. How's Sarah?
She's doing well. She actually worked out this morning, so she's feeling fine.
There you go. Wonderful. Good news as always. So I'm excited. Do you have any little tidbits of what's going on in Westerly this week before we bring on our guests?
I'm just excited to get back out there. I know our guests have some tidbits that are coming up that they want to share with us. So
absolutely.
I think we'll just bring them right out.
All right, let's do it. From the Westerly Land Trust, we have Jennifer Fusco and Joseph Barnes. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here.
So how are your mornings going?
Great. Yeah, things are, it feels it doesn't quite feel like the middle of April, but we're hope for a little sunshine, but we needed that rain yesterday. So I suppose it's okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Jennifer Fusco, you are the executive director of the Westerly Land Trust. You have been in that position since 2018, but you've been on the board of directors since 2010. And I believe you've been involved for much longer than you've been on staff. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your history with the town and your history with the organization?
Sure. Well, I am born and bred in Westerly, so I was born here. Loved everything about the beaches and growing up here. I'm a graduate of Westerly High School. I went away to college. I lived in a couple of different places, and decided that I wanted to move back here because this Westerly is a special place. So when I did, I got involved with the Land Trust. They needed someone to do some engagement, some events. And so I started as a volunteer and then joined the board in about 2010, I think. And we kind of took it from there. Really enjoyed being part of the Land Trust because it conserves places that are important to me. And as someone who's sort of seen the town change, it's wonderful to have an organization that emphasizes the importance of open space and available activities for the public. So yeah, so I'm really glad to be part on staff. It's a different animal when you go from being a volunteer, a board member, and then and now sort of the admin of an organization. So some days I look out my window and say, it would be nice to get outside. That's what we do. That doesn't always happen, but
Yeah,
I know the other people.
You spend all of this time preserving the land for other people,
That's
not
right.
for you. You have to stay in the office.
That's right.
I understand,
nice
I understand you have an inadvertent childhood connection to a property that's been preserved by the land trust.
Yeah. So my parents, my father built our house, the family home. My parents are still there. So I grew up in the woods behind their house, and there is a swamp back there. There's a little brook, a little stream, and then a like boggy swamp area. And playing out there for hours with my friends. It was like skunk cabbage and salamanders and pollywogs, and it was just like this little kind of world. And fast forward, 30 years later, 40 years later, and I realized that one of the conserved properties by the land trust is that very land. So you go into the backyard of my parents, and it's wooded, and there's a stone wall, and on the other side of the stone wall is the seal of the Westerly Land Trust, and that's Massachusetts Brook North. So they have one section of it. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of a neat thing, and never realized it.
Wow, that's so cool. Did you ever find any of those yellow spotted salamanders?
No.
Oh,
We did the classic with the copper line on the back.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
I know.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, I think a lot of, and I hope that kids still do that. I think a lot of kids don't. I think we're going in a different direction sometimes with children and activities. Like there's a lot of, obviously, we know screen time is a big thing. And that's one of the things that we hope that the Land Trust will continue to attract people to actually get outside and have a connection to the natural world, because it balances a lot of the stuff that we fight. We feel like we've got too much screen time. We've got headaches. Kids are, they have ADD. It's like, get them outside, go for a hike, and you'll be amazed at what it does for people's blood pressure and mental state. So
I imagine after the last year, there's going to be a lot of kids itching to get out. I hope it leads to the kind of playing outside renaissance that you're talking about, because I do think that would be so good for kids. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And your history. I'm going to say the same to Joe Barnes. He's the Youth Education and Community Engagement Coordinator at Westerly Land Trust. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your history? And if you could tell us a bit about TerraCore, I would be really interested to hear about how they brought you to us and what that organization's about.
Yeah, of course. Real quick though, I wasn't on Land Trust property, but I saw some spotted salamander eggs last week, which is very exciting. Didn't see the salamander itself, but I saw the eggs. That's cool. But anyway, yeah, my name is Joe Barnes. I grew up in Suffield, Connecticut, and I went to the University of Rhode Island for aquaculture and biology, double majored. And then after graduation, bounced around to water testing labs and different sort of research technician roles. I worked on an aquaculture farm, but then outside of normal work hours, I was getting more and more involved in environmental advocacy boards and organizations, and decided that's what I wanted to find out more about as a career. So I think I found the TerraCore posting just on Indeed.com. Searching for like environmental outreach or advocacy or education, and I found TerraCore. And TerraCore is a Rhode Island State AmeriCorps program, but they deal mostly with connection between land use and urbanization. And so my role as the Youth Education and Community Engagement Coordinator is just that, to get people connected to the land. And youth education part is bringing kids out onto land trust property and teaching them about environmental education, just like what you were talking about. It's very for younger kids, very play-based, very social emotional learning in an outdoor setting. And the way that I structured it in the fall is that K through 2, they learn just social emotional learning. They learn about what you can do outside. They learn about insects and all the things that you can find outside and just have fun. The 3rd through 5th graders learn more about the core ecology and biology topics, but also there's hike built in always. They play fun games outside. So again, it's very, it's learning, but it doesn't feel like learning because you're outside having fun. And the 6th through 8th grade group, they focus more on the intersection of land use and environmentalism, how humans affect the environment and vice versa, and how their individual actions can impact just even their backyard ecosystem.
Mhm.
So they learn more about human interactions.
I love the way that's graded. It's really thinking to the emotional needs of each age group as they progress and how to get them involved in that edge. That's so wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing all that. And I'm gonna I have to ask you, who is your favorite Avenger? Because I know that you are an Avengers fan.
Yes, you can see all of the. There they are. I got those at Rhode Island Comic Con a couple years ago.
Nice.
So if we're going by, I mean, the Wasp in the comics is my favorite Avenger.
Okay.
But by movies, either the Scarlet Witch or Iron Man.
Nice. Okay.
He's been trying to bring me along on the Avenger thing, so I'm, we have a Monday meeting about it, and I have a work plan. I'm trying to learn.
And I was just telling you about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier yesterday.
Sorry.
I myself am about halfway through the movies. I have not paid attention very much at all. But I've been trying so that I can at least say that I've watched them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I liked the first. So we've been doing it in like chronological order. This is so off topic. We've been doing it in chronological order, not of release, but of like the storyline or whatever. Yeah. So we watched the first Captain America first, and I think that was my favorite one. And since then, I haven't really paid attention, so I can't say anything about it.
That's a good one.
So the Wasp is your favorite in the comics?
Yeah.
That makes sense with how outdoorsy you are.
True.
I was either going for that or Ant-Man.
Yeah, it makes sense. I didn't make the connection, but I get it.
Those were my assumptions.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for indulging us in that little diversion.
Of course, I'll always talk about Marvel.
Sorry. Well, also I just wanted to say, the Land Trust was approached about this TerraCore program just to bookend that, and we, for a staffed organization. So right now we have the full-time staff members at the organization or staff positions, but this TerraCore is a temporary, so it's a 11-month, about a year. And so we interviewed lots of people, and we were so excited to be able to lure Joe into the Westerly Land Trust. But it's just the TerraCore program is an amazing way for an organization like ours to add staff capacity without sort of having to sort of add another full-time, staff position. So for his year of service, hopefully he's, Joe is getting, great experience with all the things that he's learning with the Land Trust and how to apply those to his next steps. And also we get the benefit of, not just the Marvel comics. We actually get lots of terrific. So I lean on him for all the things when it comes to engagement and the education. He has taken the education program and sort of run with it, and we couldn't be happier. So we have lots to share today about what he's got cooking for next week. But I just wanted to put that out.
Yeah, and I can talk about the education program a little later too. But it's, as I was saying, my background is more in coastal and marine science.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up at a land trust, but it's so intersectional. Everything that happens on land will impact what happens in the water. And so I've learned so much since I've started here in September. So I've learned so much about land conservation or, terrestrial ecosystems, and I'm learning right alongside with the kids, and it's been so much fun.
Well, it's so good to hear. I'm so glad this program exists and that it brought you here to our town, and that it brought you to this organization. That's wonderful.
Glad to be here.
Just a quick question. So you started in September. What are the differences in the programs for the youth programs right now with COVID versus what they would normally be?
Mm-hmm. In the past, the Land Trust still has really good relations with local schools where teachers or grades will organize field trips, day-long field trips out onto the preserves. And so it's facilitated by the teachers with help by the Land Trust to coordinate like which preserve would be best or what activities can be done on those preserves. But there's no field trips this year or last year. And so that was basically my main role, is to figure out how our youth education program can adapt to the pandemic and be COVID safe. So I ended up creating the Living Laboratories program. And in Westerly, all of the students, no matter if they are remote learning or in person, have Wednesday afternoons off. They learn remotely Wednesday morning and then have Wednesday afternoons off. So it seemed like a good time to bring kids out to the preserves. And that's when I broke it down into the grade groups for an hour each Wednesday afternoon. And it had to be at first 10 students max. And then, of course, social distancing, wearing masks. I put out hand sanitizer, took their temperatures. So the whole health, all the health safety precautions. So it was just smaller groups, more individualized, and more focused on, like I had to write up a curriculum in line with the Rhode Island Environmental Education Association and the Next Generation Science Standards, and match everything, make sure that all the topics are grade appropriate. I think I just kind of rambled there a little bit, but yeah, my role was to make these small individual group settings and teach the kids about environmental education, kind of supplement their core curriculum in school.
What a time to come in and have to start planning all that.
I know.
Wow. That's wonderful. Before we get more into that kind of thing, if there's anyone in the audience who's not familiar with the history of Westerly Land Trust and what the Westerly Land Trust is, could you fill them in on the history and the purpose and the mission?
Sure. So the Westerly Land Trust is a nonprofit corporation. We started in 1987, but we didn't actually conserve actual land or acreage until the acquisition of the Avondale Farm Preserve. And so for many, the Avondale Farm was a working farm for years. I remember sort of driving by, and there was this, it was a family farm when I was growing up. It's sort of this iconic, barn and fields that. But of course, it's attractive to developers. It's close to the water. It's on its way to Watch Hill, and so when the family decided that they weren't going to be able to keep that land, a developer had plans for it, and so there's a sort of a long history of how that all kind of came to be. But in the end, the Land Trust was really created for this very reason, and this then gave us our purpose as that. So, working with neighbors, working with federal, state grants, and of course with major funding, we were able to secure Avondale Farm Preserve. So, but that wasn't before the developer had already put that circle in, which actually turns out it works out well, because like you said, Michael, like your kids are learning to ride their bike there, and people like having a nice even way to walk. There are other trails at Avondale, which we can talk about in a bit, but besides just the paved circle. But that's become our sort of ambassador landscape. That was the very first one. People know it. It's easy to access, and so Avondale was very, very first. But since then, we've acquired 30 other properties. So we have 31 properties, about almost 1,700 acres conserved in town. We have 25 miles of walking and hiking trails, so quite a bit. Our biggest preserve is the Grills Preserve. That's a 500 plus acres along, and that's one of our favorites. Lots of trails. Has river frontage, as many of our preserves do, with the pocket park. So we have grown. The organization has grown. So we basically protect this land. We usually we own it outright, or we could have something called a conservation easement, which is where someone else owns the property, but they basically turn over the development rights to the land trust. That means that it will never be developed because we make that promise. So we care for these lands. We care for all of this acreage. We have a really robust volunteer group, a stewardship volunteer group. They're called the Coffee and Clearing Club, the CCC, and they meet on Tuesdays, and they get their marching orders, and they'll go out and they'll say, we've got to clean up this trail, we've got to build a bridge over this, we've got to do here and there, and it's an awesome way for people to get involved. If you're working from home, or if you're retired and you want to sort of, we take all people, all ages, and would love more volunteers to sort of get part of it. It's actually a really fun way to spend a couple of hours on the Tuesday, but we couldn't do what we do without them. This is it's a lot of land to care for. But
I make coffee for volunteers every Tuesday, and I've been told that I make a really good cup of coffee for them.
He does. We have nice hot coffee for everyone. So and Joe's a killer coffee maker.
I can't let this moment pass without asking you, if someone in the audience wants to get involved with that, where can they go?
Sure, they can email me or Joe, and we'll give that. It's jfusco@westerlylandtrust.org, and we'd be happy to add them to the stewardship list. So we send out our marching orders on Thursday or Friday for the following Tuesday to say, and pretty much everybody meets at Barlow, which is where our office is, and so everybody meets there in the mornings on Tuesday and has a cup of coffee, and then we go off and do our stuff.
Oh, that sounds so wonderful.
Yeah.
What a great way to spend that day. All right. Well, you mentioned Avondale at the top there.
Mm-hmm.
Since it is so central to your organization's history, could you tell us a bit about what that property is like? I mentioned my daughter is learning to ride her bike there. If someone hasn't been, what's that place like?
That's an easy first step into sort of hiking or walking and being able to enjoy. There you go. All right, Joe showing it. And so that was meant for development. And so it has this circular road. I think it's about a half a mile or a little more, 0.6, Joe showing me right now, is the loop. And what's neat is that either on the sort of, you can go on the paved, and then we have these other really beautiful walking paths off of that, where people can, there's so much, there's grassland, there's native blooming flowers. It's a great place for bird watching. There's always deer there. It's just a beautiful, like, really lovely grassland. And in the center of that, we are actually bringing that back into agricultural production. And so we have one of our farmers, John Strafach, for Breeze Farm. He hays a couple of our properties. So he raises hay on several of the properties. So he manages those for agriculture. So Avondale's kind of neat because you can go and you can see flowers, and you can also see a farmer sort of working the central field in there with for hay. So it sort of has a little bit of everything, and it's really accessible.
It really is a beautiful place. Thank you so much for keeping it safe for the town, for folks like us.
Sure.
Speaking of places that are going to be farmed, there's the Edward and Eleanor Barlow Nature Preserve. That's your newest acquisition.
It is. That was Eleanor Barlow left this to the land trust in her estate, and Barlow is 80 acres. It's an amazing place. This was a long time coming. We knew that Eleanor wanted to protect this particular property. Again, its proximity to the beach, to the ocean, really is a developer's dream. And when you think about what could be there and what's actually there is pretty amazing. So it's forest, it's wetland. It abuts the Aguntug swamp. So that is on 91 on Westerly Bradford Road. So you go by, you're driving out 91 toward Bradford. When you're on that road where the water, the swamp is on either side of the road. You can look either way. And then once you come to like up onto the forested land, from that is the beginning of Barlow, and it goes all the way to the Duns Corners Bradford Road. So it's a big swath of land. But what's really neat is the house. I mean, the property came with a building, with a house that was on there, was a family home, and then several outbuildings. And so about 5 acres of that is actually what we consider to be the Barlow farm. So not only did we renovate the house into our offices, so this is our new land trust home, so people can come and pick up trail maps. With COVID, it's been a little bit, we haven't had the opportunity to actually have an open house and have people come and see our new space, but we hope for that. Hopefully in the spring or the summer, we'll be able to do something like that. But we have 3 farmers who are working that land, which is really kind of neat. So we've conserved the land. We're not farmers, but we want to make this land available to farmers. So we have Echo Rock Flowers, Stephanie Bennett. So you might know the Bennett family. That's Colin Bennett owns Malted Barley with Stephanie. So Stephanie has always dreamed of having a flower business, a cut flower farm and business. And the Barlow property became her first real leased land. And so she is doing a really banging Barlow farm flower business, which is really, really cool. So
those are absolutely gorgeous.
They really are.
Yeah.
She's terrific, and she's a real go-getter. So that's one of the farmers. The other is Cassidy Whipple, and she just started Frontier Farm. That's the name of her farm, and she is farming all vegetables, herbs, maybe some fruit, as she progresses. But again, a female farmer, just sort of getting started. And the beauty of this is the conservation practices. So they are doing organic farming. They're doing no-till, meaning it's great for the soil, great for the environment, or lightly tilled when they needed to. So the farmers who are growing there have agreed to environmentally sound farming practices, and that was important to the land trust, obviously, because we have to conserve this land, and it's a critical wetland habitat nearby. So we wanted to, and we have bees at Barlow. We're raising bees, which helps with pollination. So there's a whole ecosystem to Barlow of its very own. So we can talk more about that if you like. But and I just want to mention the third farmer is James Caruso with Vita Nova Compost. So he calls himself a farmer of worms. So he has a subscription service in Westerly, which is really neat. You get a pail, you get your subscription, and he does a weekly pickup. And so all your kitchen scraps that would ordinarily go into an orange bag and go into the landfill, right? So he picks up and he brings it to a greenhouse at Barlow, which he's adapted to be a perfect environment for vermicomposting, which is composting with worms. And they break down so much organic matter. And then you, as the subscriber, get a little bit of compost back. So not only do you have the good feeling that you're not putting stuff into the landfill, but you're also getting a little bit of compost for your own garden or pots or what have you. So.
If someone wants to get involved with, was it Mr. Caruso?
Yep.
With his vermiculture there,
Yep.
how could they get in contact with him?
Sure. They can contact, it's Vita Nova Compost, VITANOVA.com.
Okay. VitaNova.com.
Compost.
Cool.
Sorry, Vita Nova Compost.
Very cool. Wow.
Yeah, he's great. And or you could always call the Land Trust and we'd be happy to connect you with James. But it's neat. I mean, there's so much happening right outside our window. So like I said, I was complaining that I don't get out as much as I want to, but all I need to do is look out the window and see three farmers. Everyone's working hard. It's a really neat thing. We have a farm stand there on certain days. So the farmers just eat both the flowers, the vegetables, and the compost are all on Friday afternoons and Saturday mornings in season. So probably in June, they're going to start that up again. People can just stop by. There's an outdoor farm stand right at the Barlow property, which is 449 Westerly Bradford Road, if anybody wants to find us.
449 Westerly Bradford Road. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned that's your new headquarters. Your old headquarters is the Industrial Trust building.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful neoclassical building with ornate Corinthian columns. What's happening there now that you're at Barlow?
We're going to keep that. We think that's an important piece of kind of Westerly's cultural history, and so we have that. We're trying to figure out how to make it more efficient, more energy efficient. It's a big cavernous stone, gorgeous building that is, it doesn't have a green footprint like what we would like to see as the Land Trust. So we're thinking about ways that we might be able to do that. That's going to take money and time and lots of thought. But in the meantime, we're happy to have a tenant in there. So Gnarly Bay Productions, the film production company, they have moved into Industrial Trust, and they love it in there. They're having a blast, and so we have a great relationship with them. And and it's nice to see some activity in the building. We didn't want to leave it vacant, and it worked out perfectly for them. They were looking for more space, and they really like it there. So as far as we're concerned, they can stay as long as they want. So
Gnarly Bay Productions. That's so wonderful. I'm so glad someone's there.
Everyone loves Gnarly Bay.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
I was stunned the first time I went inside the building. It is a beautiful building. It's an old bank, and so you can actually feel the divots in the floor. People would just stand like over time waiting for the teller. And then in the basement are the actual bank vaults that are still there. Like giant doors, the whole crank knob.
Oh, that's so cool.
It is cool.
Wow. Now I'd imagine that's part of your urban initiative collection, I guess.
Yes.
And another element of that was the United Theater. You were involved in that cultural revitalization. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So the urban initiative is probably about 15 years old, maybe 12 in the making. And it was the idea that not only with our land conservation, but to think about what's like culturally significant properties in Westerly. Like, what do we want to see kind of maintain, sort of what's important to who we are as a community. And so United Theater was one. So as I grew up here, as I said, and I went to the United Theater as when it was a movie theater. I mean, I think I saw Star Wars, or I can't even remember. I think it was Star Wars at the United Theater. And to be able to say that the Land Trust is a partner in something that's so important to bring back. The United Theater project has been decades long. And we hope that, so they have the United Theater, as I had mentioned, maybe when we were speaking before, has its own management, has its executive director, it has a board of directors. So the land trust's interest really is as a partner until it's ready to sort of be on its own. But we love all the connections that we have with the United. But that's one. The industrial trust you mentioned. The land trust also owns the property where the skating rink is on. So it's another kind of multifaceted partnership. The YMCA runs the rink. Washington Trust helped build out the rink, and the land trust has the land and owns the property. But we don't do anything with the management. So the rink has been one of those things where, at a time when everything inside is unsafe together, at least people had, especially, during COVID this year and last year, people were able to get outside and be able to skate in a, safely. And so different ages of people. So it sort of all ties in. And part of what we were thinking, I think, when the urban initiative, because a lot of land trusts don't get involved with buildings and, down urban space. But the idea was, if we have a vibrant and beautiful downtown, that's going to take development pressure off of the open space. And so people are going to want to live downtown. They're going to want to have an apartment where they can, walk to restaurants and shops and do all of those things. So the idea was, like, how do we make these things work for a vibrant downtown, as well as kind of rebalancing the demand to build new houses or to kind of put in development.
It's such a wonderful initiative, and it's such a clever idea to revitalize there, to take pressure off of somewhere else. Joe, you mentioned earlier some of the educational engagement. Could you talk more about your organization's engagement programs?
Yeah, of course. We have monthly hikes. They're themed monthly hikes. Those are for all ages, and they take place at different preserves each month. We actually have one on Sunday at Crandall for Earth Day. It's an Earth Day themed hike, so it'll be fun. So that's one way that we involve the community. And we have the youth education, of course. That's living laboratories. Oh, there it is. That's when we bring out the kids onto the preserves and teach them about environmental education. We have a podcast also meant for community engagement and community education. So that's a great merging of my two roles. You can find that on our website or on any streaming service where you listen to music. I think it's under Learn About Us. It's called Voices of the Land. And yeah, there it is, Voices of the Land podcast.
Wow. Love that title.
What else do we do, Jen? We have the farmers market.
Yep.
For community engagement.
Yep.
We always have events going on, so you can always check our website under the event page. We have Thursday hikes.
And the other piece we didn't talk about, I don't know if we mentioned, but definitely people should check out the podcast, because this is Joe's baby. We're really proud of it, and we get to talk to really great people. It's not we don't just talk to ourselves on these things. It's really fun. We talk about environmental issues, and it's kind of a neat thing. So I hope people might tune into the podcast.
So cool. Wow.
Yeah. We also have a Trails app, so it's free. You can go to your app store and look for Westerly Land Trust. And the beauty of the Trails app is you'll never get lost on a land trust property. Sometimes it's scary. You going, it's 500 acres. Like I might not feel comfortable doing that. But you download the Trails app and you can get the trail map and live tracking on there, so you see exactly where you are, and if you're getting off the trail, it guides you back, or it's you'll know what you're doing. But within that Trails app, we did this really fun thing called the Passport Program, and that is, we have hidden 3 QR codes in all of our properties with trails. So in 8 properties that have nice long hiking trails on them, there are 3 QR codes at each property. And so you scan them with your smartphone while you're using the Trails app, And if you've gotten all of them, then A, you get bragging rights, and B, you get a really cool exclusive I completed the passport program t-shirt from the Westerly Land Trust. So we encourage people to do it. It's a fun thing to do with kids. It's just a fun thing to do on your own, and there's no timeline. You can just go at your own pace. And when you get all of them, you get on the wall of fame.
There's a wall of fame too. I am so glad you told me about this because I got to do it now that I know this challenge is out there right here in our town.
That's it.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Absolutely. The same with me, and I'm very excited to get this rambunctious little 6-year-old who won't stop coming over to me during the show today out on the nature. Do you want to say hi? No? You do want to say hi? You can say hi. You can say hi.
Hi.
All right, go play your video game.
Go get some screen time that we can undo in a little while.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can start the passport program at Avondale.
I tried to get him to come outside and be outside for me to do the show. It's rough. It's a rough day. It's a rough morning. But I'm really excited about all of these different opportunities, and I really want to go explore the Grills Preserve. I was looking at that on the website during the show. 546 acres. That's massive, and I love that I'm friends with the Grills family, and literally just being on their properties up the road from the Grills Preserve is just gorgeous and breathtaking. And so I'm really excited to go check out that one. And I don't think I've ever actually been to Avondale, so I'm excited for that. I have been in the urban buildings, the Land Trust building and the United Theater, which I'm very excited about. And this is just everything that you're doing. And Joe, I love the podcast. Every organization should have a podcast. And the fact that you do is fantastic. And just getting a sense of who you are during the course of this interview, I'm really excited to listen to that because I'm sure that it's wonderful. What are your, and Mike, I know that you probably have a couple more questions to end with. But like, what are the things, if you could pick like a singular thing right now that you're really excited about for 2021 for the Land Trust, what would that be?
Well, Joe, I think you should lead off with our Earth Week stuff.
I was thinking about the webinar/podcast. Yeah. We have a whole slate of activities for next week for Earth Week, because Earth Day is next Thursday, April 22nd. And I'm so excited. We have activities almost every day. So Sunday is the Earth Day hike. Monday, we put out a call for an Earth Day story slam, just because people learn like different things. So if we have writers who like the Land Trust, we want to get them a platform. And so we had some story submissions. There's a couple poems, a couple like anecdotes about being on the preserves. That'll be published on Monday. And then Monday evening, we're doing a cleanup. It's actually in partnership with 7 other land trusts in South County. And so each land trust or conservancy has their own cleanup event. We're meeting at our community garden, going to 3 different preserves to clean up trash and just beautify our preserves. And then meeting at Gray Sail Brewery for a drink and some snacks. So very generously offered by Gray Sail Brewery. Tuesday are our farm tours at Barlow. So that's, again, Frontier Farm, Echo Rock Flowers, and Vita Nova Compost. You could sign up on our website or Facebook page or Instagram. We have links to sign up on all of those to go on by and meet the farmers and learn about all their operations and see the farm to the field. Wednesday is a living laboratory. So again, you can sign up on all the places I mentioned, and we're learning about amphibians and reptiles on Wednesday. And Thursday is our Voices of the Land webinar. So that is in conjunction with the Westerly Library in Wilcox Park. Thursday from 6 to 7:30. And I'm moderating, so I'm talking about the Land Trust. And then we have Cassidy Whipple from Frontier Farm, Mary Gannon and Gabby DeMelon from the Rhode Island DEM Fish and Wildlife, Division of Fish and Wildlife, and Dave Prescott from Save the Bay. And so this is just condensed version of our podcast, basically, to get all these people who use land sustainably in a different way and work with it every day, talk about their views on land conservation, how it relates to Earth Day, local actions that are being done in the community. So it's going to be a jam-packed webinar full of, as Jen said, fun environmental issue topics.
It sounds amazing. I can't wait to get on that website and sign my daughter up for some of those.
Great.
Because this is, after the year we've had, this sounds like a great way to spend the Earth Week. I'm so excited. I'm so excited you're putting on all of these. I want to close out in a way that will let folks know how to help out this organization. We have gone over the way you conserve open space, revitalize the cultural properties in town, and all the education work you do. If someone gets excited about all these messages and wants to know how they can help, how should they go about it?
Well, thanks for sort of ending with that. And that's always something that we think about. We are a nonprofit. We rely on donations. We rely on memberships. So folks can join the Land Trust. It's an annual thing. It's sort of, if you feel good about it, it helps us do all the work that we do. It helps us conserve land. It helps us maintain the trails. It helps everything when it comes to engagement and the education program. So we have a really robust membership program. There are lots of people in the community care about the Land Trust, and if there are, we're always love to have new members. And so we love to introduce the Land Trust to new people. So they can find us at westerlylandtrust.org, and they can make a donation right on the website, or there's plenty of information on how to do that.
Yeah, and your support, when you support the Land Trust, we have such a wide range of, or a wide reach, just even outside Westerly. So your support goes to incredible places. Like our podcast has listeners in Kenya and Spain and the United Kingdom as well. And like 20 other states in America so far. And I also wrote downloadable lesson plans, which have been downloaded from Maine down to Georgia. So this is all things you're supporting and helping the Westerly Land Trust do and educate people that far.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much for all that you do. I really hope folks get on there and donate and volunteer and get involved with this important organization. And I hope my daughter gets to see some of those those spotted salamanders when they hatch from those eggs you spotted there. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. It was our pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I'm still muted. Thank you both. It was wonderful to meet you. Are you saying goodbye? Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend.
You too.
See you soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
They were incredible. My apologies for being distracted for a lot of it, but buddy, we're still on.
It's a good reason to be distracted having Braden there.
Yes. Braden, this is Mike. He's Mommy and Dave and I's friend for a really long time. Yeah.
And from the before times.
He's from the before times, yes. Okay, so we should end this show before Mommy gets mad that you're on it. Okay? All right. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody? Bye. All right. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Please go donate, become a member, use the properties, the westerlylandtrust.org. I'm really excited. You can't bounce a basketball. Just hold on 30 seconds. I love you. Hold on 30 seconds. Check out westerlylandtrust.org. And the three wonderful farms that they mentioned, all of the locations, they have a really intuitive website that shows you everywhere that you can go, all of the preserves, all of the urban buildings, everything, all of the educational pieces, the website, the podcast, donate, check out all of their Earth Day events. I loved it. I was listening to the entire show. And I just thought that they were amazing, and I can't wait to have them back on. what are you looking forward to this week, Mike?
Oh, let's see. Well, unfortunately I pretty much just have work except on Tuesday. Tuesday's a very special day. It is my daughter's birthday.
Yes, and she will be 7?
Yes.
7. She will be 7. Yes, very nice.
Oh yeah, it's a big one.
That's awesome.
We have a great day planned. What do you have looking forward to?
To this week?
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly. Work. I mean, I enjoy the work stuff that I do. I'm probably gonna hit up Joe and ask if he wants to do a 5-minute show to talk about all of their just hit the Earth Day week celebration stuff, which would be exciting. Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited to have some fun this week.
I mean, I'm going to try to get Mel involved in some of that Earth Week stuff. That's on my docket now.
Absolutely. What are you excited about? I don't know. 30 seconds. I'm so sorry. I got to end the show. We need an ending video because I didn't make an ending video. And I was thinking of a bunch of other stuff that we can do with This Week in Westerly and, news and there's so much potential here. So if you want to be a guest on This Week in Westerly, send Mike an email or comment wherever you're watching this, but you can send Mike an email at michaeltniemeyer@gmail.com, or you can send a message. He's very excited about something that just happened in Animal Crossing. He's making his own nature preserve over
Very
there.
good.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's just hitting things and people with axes, I think. And trying to fish desperately. So anyway, yeah, check out email Mike. This has been a mess on my end, and I'm so sorry, but I kind of love it.
It's live. It's fresh. I don't care. Tune in next week. We're going to have someone join us. We're going to have our friends join us from the Ocean Community Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, I love it. Who's coming?
Lisa Konecki.
Lisa Konecki, yes.
Konecki.
Very nice. Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to. I don't want to play the ending video. Hold on a second. You go full screen and talk about the land trust what's happening next week for a second. I want to end on something.
Sure. Next week we're going to have Lisa Konecki on. She's going to talk about what's going on with the Ocean Community Chamber of Commerce events that they're going to be sponsoring, and just all that they do in this community. I know that how much I appreciate what they've been doing with that with the Easter Bunny visits. I think it was a great way to kind of bring the community together during this difficult time. I'm so glad that they had that thought. The Santa Claus Trail. They just do so much in this community. It's hard to even quantify.
Oh yeah.
And I'm so grateful that Lisa's going to be coming on.
There is so much. Yeah, there is so much that the chamber does, and I'm really excited. They've been such a voice for businesses. Also, if you do own a business in Westerly, please go to commerceri.com and apply for a small business grant. They just got released on Thursday. There's still plenty of money in those grants. Go to commerceri.com if your business has suffered during COVID, and you can get one of these grants. It's an extremely easy, streamlined application process, and I think like almost 3,000 businesses at last I had checked had applied and gotten approved already. So please, the governor's office, Commerce, and the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition are working hard to get more of the federal money out as grants to local businesses, and Westerly should not be left behind on that. So if you own a small business or know somebody that owns a small business, please tell them to check out commerceri.com and look for the relief grants.
All right.
All right.
I think we closed out here.
Thank you. I'm gonna end with a commercial for myself because I need a video to end with, and I will talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for spending your morning.
Should I do that, or should I just end with I'll end with 2 because I want to do one that's altruistic as well. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. See you later.
There are so many stories we've never told, questions we never thought to ask. Preserve your family memories for generations to come.